Hi, my name is Natalie Armitage and I am the Education Manager at the British Ceramics Biennial.
And I'm Emma Price and I'm a potter and freelance artist with the British Ceramics Biennial. Could you describe, I suppose, what your role is within the British Ceramics Biennial and how you ended up there?
Yeah, so my role within the British Ceramics Biennial is focused on the education programme. So I work with young people ages 0 to 25, so covers a really big range. And we design and run different engagement programmes that all work around clay. So clay in all its different kind of forms. And we try to make things really fun and engaging. And we really work with getting clay across the curriculum as well. So we might do a science-based project or a project rooted in English, but all around clay. We work a lot with the local schools and we run training sessions for teachers so that they can feel confident to use clay within the classroom as well. We also run a festival every 2 years. That's part of the British Ceramics Biennial. And what we do is we take over the Spode factory site, which you can see behind me, just a little glimpse of the China Hall, which is a huge space that we take over with contemporary ceramics, lots of exciting activities. And I look after the engagement space. So we will have over 1,000 children come through, families as well. And we design really fun, engaging spaces where you can get really messy and play with clay and just explore and have lots of fun. So I got into the role probably later in my career. It wasn't something I did straight after university or straight out of school. I knew that I really enjoyed working with young people. So I went down the traditional teaching route. I actually did do a PGCE, but I found quite quickly that formal education settings weren't where I was best suited. There was too many structures above me, too many kind of boxes you had to tick. It really didn't allow for the creativity that I really wanted within the role. So I went back and did some freelance artist work on some community projects working with teenagers. Found that really rewarding, really enjoyed working with them. It also allowed for more young person-led working, so they help to direct where the project is going. So you start off a project and you don't always know where it's going to go. Those young people kind of decide it for you, which is always really exciting. So when I saw this job come up, I was really excited because it allowed for that freedom of creativity. I get to help design projects with artists like yourself, and we kind of get to decide what we want to do, and then we write funding bids and apply for funding to do the projects that we want to do, rather than being dictated to by someone else about what the curriculum is or what things we should be looking at. So it allows for a much more creative, exciting and changeable work environment as well.
Did you find that the subjects you really liked at school have had sort of a big impact on your career choices?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that was why I didn't come straight to this kind of role, because I was quite academic. I did well in English. I actually did maths A-level for some strange reason. And I've really enjoyed science and history and all those different things. So I kind of went down that academic route, wasn't quite sure where I wanted to go. I always loved art. It was always a strong kind of presence within my education setting, and I was fortunate that my auntie is an artist, and she kind of kept that spark alive even when I wasn't studying it. So I think the element of that I've brought to the role is about really thinking around how we can make all those different subjects fun and engaging for other young people. So English was something I really enjoyed, but I know that for some young people it's not their favourite thing to do. So it's about how can we use a material like clay to create really fun, engaging activities for them. And science was another one, and we've just started a project called Foundations, which is all around using clay to explore the material science of clay. So I really enjoy looking into all those different subjects. So again, it's that freedom to explore and do whatever you want.
Did you need to do any sort of specific training to get into your role, or is it something that you could do without sort of a formal sort of education?
I did go to university, so I have an arts degree. but I don't think you need that to do the role that I'm in. I've also got a PGCE, so I've got that kind of teaching qualification. But again, it's not something that you need to do a role like this, because you're not following a set kind of path in terms of educating. They're useful to have, but it wouldn't have been a barrier to me getting this job. There are actually lots of training opportunities that have come up while I've been in the role, including there is a teacher training program, like a mini course that I could have done if I'd have felt I needed to. And I'm currently looking at doing some leadership programs in terms of kind of stepping up into more senior roles, looking at more strategic ways in which we can work with culture and creativity across the city. So yes, while I have a degree, it's not something that's a prerequisite to the job. If you're, we work with artists who are as good, if not much, much better at engaging with young people through their art practice than me. And again, that doesn't necessarily come from having a degree. That just comes from having a strong sense of wanting to engage with young people. So the experience, I think, was a more important thing. I worked with young people doing ceramics in a pottery gallery when I was at university, and then I did those freelance artist projects working with young people on community-led projects as well. So building up that experience, I think, was key, rather than the actual academic background that I have.
How does your role fit in terms of the wider organisation?
Okay, so yeah, we have a festival that runs every 2 years, and a big part of the organisation is the managing of that festival and the preparation for it, and we have an artistic team that do that. I mean, we're only a small organisation, there's only kind of 8 full-time people within the organisation, and then we have freelance artists like yourself that are kind of around, and we pull in for different projects. So the artistic team take the lead on certain aspects of what kind of big projects are going to look like, but we work with them in terms of kind of how those things will best serve the young people or the other groups that we work with. So we have 3 engagement strands. I work on education, but we also have a families and communities strand and a health strand as well. So they work with different groups and have slightly different focuses on what they like to do. Those 3 engagement strands are year round, so we work 12 months of the year to deliver different projects, and then the festival every 2 years culminates with the kind of outcomes of those projects. So I work with all the different people within the organisation to make sure that we have a festival that works together, and to make sure that the groups that we work with are represented, because if we have a festival that is just all artists from all over the country showing their work, it's not showing the work that we do all year round here. And we really want to give the young people of Stoke-on-Trent, the families, the different communities that we work with, that voice, and show them, show the public what we do to work with everybody all year round. So in the last festival, we had a brilliant display of 5,500 ceramic figures created by school children across the city as part of our Cast of Thousands project. And it was, I won't tell my artistic director this, well, he knows, it was one of the most popular aspects of the show. Everyone really loved it, really thought that it was brilliant, loved to see what the children had done, and it was brilliant to watch those children come in and try and find their figure and really feel like their work was next to international artists. So we work really collaboratively as a team to bring everything together and make sure that it all works as one.
So what advice would you give to someone, particularly a young person who's trying to start out in this kind of role?
I think it's about finding out what is out there. So I myself didn't know the kind of range and scope of different roles and different organisations that were working within the creative industry within Stoke-on-Trent, so let alone the kind of wider network. So there are lots of different opportunities out there. There are lots of really good youth programmes that are being developed. Youth voice is a really key focus for a lot of organisations and a lot of cultural groups. So they'll be starting programmes that you can get involved with that will help you develop some of the skills that you might need. There are also apprenticeships that you might be able to go for, or internships. So it's about finding out where you can look and where those are advertised. So they can be really good because they don't require you to have skills and experience. They're more about kind of training you on the job and giving you that experience. So there's lots of different opportunities out there. It's about trying to find out where they are and how you can apply for those and get into them. A really good point of call is to look at your local cultural education partnership, so your LSEP. They are set up across most of the regions in the country now, and they will have a good knowledge of who the cultural organisations in your city or your area are, and how you might be able to contact them. I'd also say don't be scared about contacting people within an organisation that you really admire and you really like. If anyone emails me and kind of says I'm really kind of keen to get involved, or what advice would you give, then we're all really keen about getting young people into this industry, making it a more diverse and inclusive space. So there might be a project that we can say to you, oh yes, you could come and join this. So we've got a Youth Voice project that is starting in the new year. So that could be an option, or we could kind of let you know about opportunities that might be coming up or different things that are happening. So don't be scared to just kind of drop an email to someone and ask a question. It's about getting to know who is in your area and what they are doing, so you've got a knowledge of the different areas that you might be able to kind of go into and the different opportunities that you can find.
So you touched briefly on sort of diversity. Why do you think it is so important to have diversity in this sector?
I think traditionally the arts has been a very white male dominated sector. We try really hard to try and include different voices within the work that we do. So we know Stoke-on-Trent is a really vibrant, multicultural, diverse group of people and population. So we try and work with as many different groups as we can to get their voices heard through the work that we do. And as I said, we try and do very people-focused work. So it's about the people that we work with guiding us in terms of what they want to say, how that work wants to manifest itself. And we're also really aware that it's not just about us working with those people. We also want those people to aspire to come and work within the industry itself, that there are lots of different roles that are available. It's really important that those roles are paid and that they give a living wage as well. So previously the arts sector was very much kind of non-paid internships. It was almost like a speculate to accumulate way to get in. But unfortunately, that will always favour the people who have financial backing who can do that. And we don't want that barrier to be there. We want anybody to be able to get into the arts if that's what they feel passionate about doing, and if that's where they really feel that their career path lies. So, as I say, we try really hard within our recruitment processes and the different groups that we work with to make sure that we try and capture those voices and use any feedback we get to try and improve and work with more people as best we can.
So what advice would you give to yourself if you were just starting out again?
Wow, that's a kind of tough one, because I think I took a very roundabout path to get here and it feels like it's the right space for me now. But I appreciate all those experiences I had along the way. So I think probably the best advice is to just see what's out there a bit more. I think maybe I just kind of fell into certain things. So my university degree, I didn't really look into it too much. It was just, this looks kind of interesting, I'll go and do it. I wasn't thinking about where I would be afterwards. So, which at 18, you don't always have that in mind. So maybe kind of thinking a little bit more about where I wanted to go, and but also not being scared about changing tack. So, I've gone down one or two paths that I've got, a year into and just felt actually this really isn't right for me. So it's about not being scared to go, well, have I wasted all that time down this path? You just go, no, it's fine. Let's just reassess and try and find out what's important to you, and then try and find the career that fits those parameters, I suppose. So there are lots of opportunities out there within the arts sector that aren't just being an artist or kind of in curation or gallery management, things like that. There's a big strand around education and working with young people. And I think it's really important to know that if you're really passionate about working with young people, it's not just a clear route of you should go and be a teacher. That might be exactly where you need to be, but again, you might find that you just that kind of confine of a school or another education setting just doesn't feel like where you want to be. You want to be a bit more creative and have a little bit more control over things. And, you know, my role, I never do the same thing twice. We're always doing different stuff. So it's a really exciting, dynamic role to be in. And yeah, so don't feel that if you like working with young people, it's just the teacher route that you've got to follow. Explore, find out all the different options that are available to you. Don't be afraid to contact people and ask them what they do, because most of the people within the arts and creative industries are really supportive and lovely, and they want to encourage new people to come in.